to Wednesday's Vibes. My name is Izzi Meditates, and I am a meditation practitioner. I am beyond excited today to share space with this beautiful soul. Her name is Jomana, Dr. Jomana Elaridi. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Izzy? So nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you are so welcome. I am just beyond excited to have you here today. I have been scrolling through Facebook, came across your page, and watched your TEDx, which was absolutely amazing. We'll get into that. And it gave me goosebumps, chills, tears, everything you could think of. And I was like, I definitely have to share space with her and have her share some of the knowledge and the expertise as a super mom.
I don't know. I'm very weary about using that word.
I know. It's so crazy. My brother used to call me that all the time. And I
Yeah.
used to wear that cape, but then I realized there was a lot of responsibilities that came with that. So before we go on to that, I'd like for you to just introduce yourself to our community. Tell us some things that are going on and how you began your journey.
Okay. Thank you, Izzy. All right. So my name's Jomana Elaridi, and yes, I am a university professor of chemistry.
Yeah,
And
I
this is where, please keep listening. I'm not scary. um, and after about 2 decades in academia, I realized that I don't really like chemistry as much as I thought I did.
wow.
And I cared a lot more about the students. I cared
Yeah,
about the well-being of the students. I cared about their self-esteem, their self-confidence,
right.
and of course of my colleagues and of people. And I was a struggling quote unquote super mom. And actually, I think people like you and me, we should own that because it's not perfect mom, it's super
Right.
mom.
Right.
And yeah, we do a lot. I think every mom does a lot.
Yeah.
And so when I gave my TEDx talk in 2018, after I'd been asked like twice to give a TEDx talk, my
Mhm.
life changed. And to be
Wow.
honest, my life changed before I even stepped foot on that red carpet,
Wow.
because I had done so much research
Mm.
about working mothers, about perfectionism in women, about confidence issues in women beforehand, that it's like I had a new set of eyes to view myself and to view women around me. So whether I got one view on YouTube or millions, my life had changed.
Yeah.
And after that TEDx talk, actually, I got invited to give a couple of workshops about perfectionism and confidence in women.
Mhm.
And I just felt, I don't think I want to keep teaching chemistry and
Wow.
quantum dynamics and organic. I knew I wanted to do something more empowering, more impactful. And because I was still kind of recovering from perfectionism. I thought, well, I'm going to do it right. If I'm going to go
Right.
into this, I'm going to do it right. So I got my first coaching qualification and I fell in love with coaching.
Oh,
And I
wow.
went on to get an NLP master practitioner and then holistic coaching because I do believe in a holistic approach and,
Yes.
the breath work and the somatic movement and the meditation. And so,
Yes.
yes, I actually took unpaid leave a few
Oh,
months
wow.
ago from my work,
Yeah.
and I'm working full time as a coach and a workshop facilitator.
I love it. I love it.
I
Our jour
moved
our
countries. I moved
Mhm.
countries with my kids, and I thought,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, and I'm so that we I resonate so much with that because I was in the same position and, at my age, it was just like, "Oh my gosh, there's gonna be a career change." But I have to do it. Like I have to follow my heart. I'm gonna stop doing what I'm doing and I'm gonna stop. And people are gonna think that cuckoo. But it felt good, like you said, when you said it felt so great to follow that purpose. You know what I mean? To follow. And please tell our audience where you're located.
okay. And they'll see why I'm laughing now because I was born and raised in Australia, but I'm of Lebanese descent. I lived in Lebanon for 14 years with my husband and kids and my parents, and we moved to Cyprus a couple of months ago. So I'm in Cyprus, Europe. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So in this journey, when you decided, hey, this is not for me, I'm gonna move on, I'm gonna, become qualified as a coach and so forth. How are you able to, because it's still managing, you have children, you're still
Mhm.
managing a new career, something new that you're not used to. So you're starting again from the beginning. How are you able to manage that? And how are you able to make that shift
Mm, thank
into becoming a coach? Yeah.
Yeah, great question. Well, the thing is, I am very good at thinking.
Yeah.
Not overthinking. I used to be a major overthinker. Actually, my niche is empowerment and confidence coach for ambitious women because I lacked confidence, because I felt powerless at times in my life, because I doubted myself so much and I lacked self-trust. So I used to think and overthink and analyze and overanalyze, but I learned gradually to start trusting myself. But
Yeah.
what I mean is I'm good at thinking. It's like I started when I felt, wow, this is such a good feeling. When I talk about
Yeah.
confidence in women and perfectionism and I open women's hearts and to possibilities and to it feels so good. So
Right.
since 2018, I've been thinking this is something I may want to do.
Yeah.
So I started enrolling in little courses here and there for me, mainly for
Mhm.
me. And then when I was, and to be honest, during lockdown, because I was teaching from home,
Mhm.
that's when I enrolled in my coach training. And that was the
Nice.
first one was 6 months. So I was able to manage my time and I
Mhm.
started coaching while I was in training. I gave literally hundreds of hours of coaching sessions for free. And I did it
Wow.
with all my heart
Oh my
because
goodness.
I wanted to serve my community. I wanted to serve people. I wanted to help women,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And I wanted to get the practice so I could feel confident.
Yeah.
And so when I started to see, oh, hang on a second, yeah, this is
Right.
really powerful. I'm really good at this. And I had my own coach. So I know the value of coaching. I know how transformational it can be. And yeah, so I was at my work
Mhm.
and coaching simultaneously in parallel. And then I just kind of let the
Wow.
rest of the job go.
I love that. I feel that with all my heart. And did you hear what she said? Like when you love something that you do, you don't put a price on it. Like you were like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to give it away for free. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of my time I'm going to give because this is a passion. This is something that's in my heart that I want to give. So that is just beautiful. That is beautiful. So I want to get to some of the things in your TED Talk. There's so many things and we don't have that much time to get into every single little thing that I would love to talk about. But there were some topics that you had said that just struck me. And first thing I want to talk about is the super mom mentality. Explain that to me.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah. Excuse me while I get my cape.
Yeah, yeah. I know, right? I'll shift mine a little too.
Yeah. Um, it's an interesting one, Izzy. It's
Yeah.
so interesting because I even now I have mixed feelings about it. Some days I'm like, yeah, I'm a super mom. Of course I'm a super mom. And so are
Right.
you, and so are you. And so like Oprah, like, yeah, I get
I
it.
know, right?
You get a
You're
cape,
a
you get
super
a cape.
mom.
And then other times I feel like it glorifies this martyr mother.
Right.
If you know what I mean? Like, I feel that I was spreading myself so thin between my job, between my kids, between my husband, between my community, and it's like I thrived when people say, oh, you're such a good mom. Oh, with
Yeah.
all the work that you do and everything you do, oh, you're such a good mom. And like, I would thrive on that. But on the inside, I was
Right.
crippled with
Yeah.
exhaustion. And I never felt good enough. I never
Right.
felt good enough as an academic. I never felt good enough as a mom. And that's why I have mixed feelings about it. But I think whereas before it used to be, what does a mom do? She nurtures her kids, she takes care of her kids, she cooks and cleans, and
Right.
she prepares them for life. Good job. Now
Right.
it's like, are you taking them to activities? Oh, the other day, I have two sons. I'm by myself in a foreign country, and I was telling, oh, my son does football, my youngest does Muay Thai. Oh, that's all? It's like, yeah, plenty. You know?
It's a
Yeah.
lot.
So it's like, oh, activities, cooking and eating healthily every single day,
Yes.
prepping meals and being super patient and helping them with homework, and which is great, which is great, which is
Right.
great. But it's a lot. It's a lot
Yeah.
of pressure.
A lot of
And
pressure. And to add that on to 40, 60-hour work week or maybe even more. And so wouldn't you agree that sometimes you felt like when you said that you felt like you were so super thin that you weren't giving your all to everything. You were just making it through because you can't. One person cannot do all the things. that we do sometimes as a mom. When you look back, you're like, I can't believe I made it through. I can't believe that I made it.
And in all honesty, I'm being
Yeah,
very transparent here. I'm not going to say I regret, because I believe I have my, by the way, you said, how did you manage it all? I should have mentioned my faith always kept me going. My faith,
yeah,
my faith. I have unshakable faith in
yes,
God, in the
yes,
universe, and that had helped me to have faith in myself, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah,
Knowing that everything's going to be okay, you can do it because God is with me. I'm being very honest.
yeah.
But oh goodness, sorry, I got
Yeah, no,
sidetracked.
that's no,
What were you saying?
that's okay. We're just, I was saying how we have so much that's going on, and we're spread so thin that we can't give our all to each thing. And in my case, I would always feel like
Mm,
when I couldn't give my all, or if I did it mediocre and I failed at it, then the judgment would come in.
mm,
Because as the super mom that I am, that name that I'm given, I'm supposed to be able to handle and manage all these things.
yeah,
Now to think of, you're trying to do that, oh, you're sick. You get sick here, something happens here and it runs behind. You know what I mean? Like those little things that come in and just put a little wrench into everything. Yeah, so that's a lot.
that's a lot. But
Yeah,
is it when you mentioned the judgment?
yeah.
Nobody is going to judge you as much as you judge yourself.
I know.
That's
I
my
know.
belief.
I
When I
know.
work with my clients and they say, I have this fear of judgment, I have this fear of judgment, like people are going to say this, people are going, and I'm like, who's actually doing the judging?
Yeah, yeah.
And you will find that people who fear judgment the most are those who judge themselves most harshly.
Right, right.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because a huge part of my journey was self-compassion.
Yeah, yeah. And that's so hard. I think, speaking for myself, it's difficult to have self compassion because you're just like, I should have done it that
Mm,
way. I should have been there. If anything goes wrong with the kids, it's my fault. If dinner wasn't prepared this way, it's my fault.
yeah.
If I didn't, you know what I mean? And they're constantly piling it on. And while you're doing this, you're continuing to go and to go and to go. And I believe it builds burn out. Moms are losing control because they're so down on themselves, and
Yeah.
the lack of confidence that you had spoken about, the working mother guilt, that
Yeah.
I felt that. I was so like, literally, I was told when I worked for this major company, don't tell them that you have kids, don't let them know you were pregnant. They had no
Mhm.
idea that I had a baby. I literally was like nursing while I was working from home. No one knew, no one in the company knew I had a baby. And there would be a guilt when assignments weren't finished, when my baby was sick. And it was I had to choose between doing what I was supposed to do for the company and also taking care of my children. And so I think that's when the tears started to flow during your TEDx, because no one had said anything. I've never heard anybody say that. Working mom guilt. I felt guilty for having to drop them off at the daycare center, and they didn't want to go. They wanted to be with me. My one daughter cried. They had to pull her off of my leg. And so I had to go to work thinking about, oh my gosh, she really doesn't want to be there. She wants to be with me, So let's talk a little bit about the working mother's guilt. Yeah.
Yeah, well, to be honest, my kids are now, I told you, 11 and a half and 16. And I got very teary and I had a lump in my throat as you were describing that,
Yeah.
because, working mom guilt, I think as soon as a baby is conceived in a woman's stomach,
Yes.
it's just like what comes with it is some guilt. Like even like when you're pregnant, you start thinking
Right.
about what you're eating and what you're doing and all that. And then the baby's born, and I honestly feel that women, they just adopt this identity of mom,
Yeah.
and with that is the guilt. And working mom's guilt is a really special kind of guilt,
Right.
because it's twofold, if not more, because when the mom is at work
Yeah.
and she may be doing very impactful work, life-changing work and so on, or maybe she's just trying to make ends meet so she can support her family.
Right.
Okay, she
Right.
has good intentions, and she feels bad because she's not with the kids.
Yeah.
And then when she's with the kids, She feels bad because, oh God, I should be at work. I still have to finish this. I left early because, and it's like there's this heavy load of guilt that sits on
Yeah.
her or our shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean,
it's
yeah.
heavy. It's really heavy.
It's very heavy. I've seen an experimental documentary where they allowed the moms to bring children to work. And even there was guilt because I don't even, the thought of having my baby at work with me full time while answering telephones for customers, it was like a customer service job. I literally could not finish the documentary because I felt the pain of the women trying to struggle and, like you said, make ends meet and work, but also have the baby there. Sometimes the baby was fussy or crying. And
Yeah,
so I felt that deep within. And a part of the healer in me wants to just go to every mom and give them a hug and be
absolutely.
like, hey, we are doing the best we can with what we have.
Absolutely.
And that's it. The best we can with what we have. So I'm gonna go on to the next. I have so many things. I'm gonna have to pick and choose from. So the other thing I wanted to talk about that was that really broke my heart because society has changed and we're expected to work, take care of our kids, do whatever, and we've come to this what you called a villageless society.
Mm.
We don't have that anymore. And
Mhm.
I remember coming up and having aunties and uncles. If my mother could go and work and do her thing, and she felt totally confident and okay with that because she had family that was watching over me and watching over my brother. Here we hit 2000. I think my first 2003, my son was born. I moved to a community where I knew no one. I was in a villageless society because I didn't have that circle. So I want to talk about that and how that's hugely impacting society and women and moms.
Yeah. 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 Thank you
I
so
should
much
say
for
period.
mentioning.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, it takes a village to raise a child,
yeah,
doesn't it? That's the African proverb I mentioned in my Tedx talk. And as you articulated, uh, our parents, from what I heard, you grew up having aunties and uncles next to you. Our parents grew up like, with their sisters and brothers and so on. And my parents described to me how their moms used to just be like, okay, good morning, have breakfast, go. Just
right.
go. Just go have fun in the village, and
Yeah,
just play with your friends, and then the women would sit and they'd cook for each other's kids or whatever. Like it, I'm
right.
talking maybe 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. And because I often tell my mom, oh my God, how did my grandma have 8 kids?
I
How did
know.
my grandma have I've got 2 boys and I'm on the brink of a nervous breakdown, for goodness
Every
sake.
day.
Yeah. And she's like, because we supported each other.
Wow.
We supported each other. We took care of each other. You're doing this. My mom, I'm very blessed, to be honest. Touch wood, thank God. I'm very blessed. My mom was very, very supportive. Like we live in the same village.
Nice.
So I still struggled.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I feel like society has become so individualistic. And this
right,
is, I say this
right.
without judgment. Please note, I say this without, it's not like, oh, yeah, I only care about myself and you only care about yourself. It's just the way life has become so demanding
Right,
that it's like, I've got my own problems to deal with. I'm just trying to,
right.
take care of my own kids and work and everything. And I can't think about other people,
Yeah,
sadly. And what does that mean? That means
yeah,
that the brunt of it is by mom and dad, and that's if there's a dad, or mom and mom, or dad and dad. But if there's that, that
right,
partnership,
right,
and often there isn't as well. So it's
right.
a lot of responsibility. Like my kids would listen to my mom talk about how her aunt told her this story and her other aunt told her this fable, and she would sleep at and my kids didn't have that, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, oh, I think about that all the time. I think that things would be better. There would be like less stress. And the quote that I want to share that you shared was, let's all share the weight that's resting on mom's shoulders. Let's all share it together. And so with that being said, what do you think that we can do to get somewhat back to that? Just a little bit. You know what I mean? I know it's hard, but somehow, what do you think we should do?
Ask for help.
Yes. Yes, yes. That's so perfect and simple. It's
But
so hard, right?
yeah, it is. It's so interesting that it just came straight out of my
Yeah.
mouth, because I've had this conversation with clients over the last couple of weeks. Like for example, in my program, I offer unlimited support between sessions.
Yeah.
And even though I consider myself niched into ambitious women, I do have a few male clients. And it's interesting that the male clients reach out to me more often between sessions than the females.
Yeah.
And it's because we find it so hard to ask for help. Like,
Yes.
I'm supposed to be this strong, independent woman,
Yep.
and I can take care of it by myself. I will deal with this. And the emotion or the meaning we attach to asking for help is often weakness,
Yeah.
vulnerability.
Yeah.
But actually, asking for help is a sign of strength. Like, I find it extremely powerful when I ring up and I say to my friend or to my mum. I don't do it as often now because my kids are older, but friend, I really need your help.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I don't have time to go, can you take my son to football and I'll take your son another day to this?
Right.
It's hard because
It's
you're opening yourself up, you're being very vulnerable, and they could say, and then the thing is, it's about anticipating the answer and what meaning you give to that answer. If they say yes, you'll be like, thank God.
right.
Awesome. If they say no, what is the meaning you're going to attach to that no?
Yeah, that's a lot. That's
And what I realized is I'm going to put my pride and ego on the side.
yes.
And when they say no, that means no for now. I'm not going to take it personally.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when I say no, it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, you're hopeless. You can't deal with this by yourself. If I say no to some, of course, it just means like right now I can't.
Yeah.
And so asking for help, and I know it's very hard.
Very.
I know, but a lot of people will say, I don't have the help, I don't have the help, I don't have the help, which is true. I can certainly, believe that. But
Yep.
oftentimes we don't ask for the help that we need.
Yeah. And especially in positions like ours for coaches and guides and people who are in that field of helping others, sometimes it's hard to ask for help because you're thinking in your head like, I'm asking for help and I'm helping others. So people are going to see me as not being able to help them. And so I even had to get out of that mentality. So I have mentors and people who I reach out to that will help. But in the beginning, I was like, well, I can't ask for help because then they're going to be like, well, she can't do her job. You know what I mean? Like, so that's a heavy, like super heavy burden.
But
Yeah.
Izzy, who's saying that really?
In my head, the other little
Mm,
Izzy that exists. I've got a
yeah,
couple little Izzies that pop out every now and again, and I have to have conversations with them and say, hey, you know what, that's not true. That person doesn't think this about you. They don't and sometimes people say things and you interpret them the wrong way
exactly.
and taking it this way, and then later on you realize in another conversation that they didn't even mean that. Like, you've
Exactly.
put yourself through all of these different changes when that wasn't what it meant. They just have a different way of communicating. So yeah, it's just, and that super mom cape, like you said, it's good, and in a way it can hinder us because it's empowerment. Hey, we can do this, but at the same time, we can do this, but not all the time. We have to ask for help. Yeah.
I I personally think every mom who loves and takes care of her children
Yeah.
is a super mom.
Yeah.
And the thing is, even I'll go back to that whole martyr mother thing, because and the reason why I said that intentionally is because it's not working moms are super moms.
Right.
I don't even like the term working moms, and I mentioned that in the talk.
Right.
Actually,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
redundant. Every single mother is working every single hour of the day.
Right.
So, and that's why I don't like the term super. That's why I have that mixed feeling about supermom, because often when we think supermom, we think working mom.
Right.
But what does that say about the moms who are, staying at home and taking
Yeah.
care of their children? So they're not supermoms? Of course they
Right.
are.
Yes, very much, with two capes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
With two capes, and I say that because I've been on the end of both spectrums, and I love being home with my kids, but at the same time I like being at work because I had that space. It gave me a chance to be myself fully. When you're a stay-at-home mom, you're constantly working, working, working. There's never a break, really. If there, and even at night there's no break, so it's constantly 24 hours, 7 days. You're a chef, you're a hairdresser.
Yeah.
And I think there was like, I saw like this one, it wasn't a meme, it was a video, but it broke down how much you would be paid for each job you did as a mom
Yeah.
and what your salary would be at the end. You know what I mean? It was just, and it was insane. I was like, wow, I am that. I know, right? Money rain. But we don't think of that, we don't think that we're supporting our kids mentally, physically, every aspect of that. So I absolutely love your TEDx. I'm going to share, so you guys, I want you to know for sure that you will see the link to her TEDx so you can actually see it. There will be also a link to Dr. Jomana's Instagram page and all of her social media uh, websites and so forth. You definitely want to connect with her. You definitely have to see this TEDx. It is life changing. Like, since I've seen this, which was about 2 weeks ago, I think of things differently and I feel a support. She's miles away from me, miles, miles, miles away from me. But just to know that she was experiencing the same things that I was experiencing made me feel a little bit better, because at one point I thought I was losing my mind. I thought I was going crazy trying to figure things out. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I said, like, my life changed before I even stepped on the carpet. I had been
Yeah.
asked twice before to give a TEDx talk, and I was like, what would I say that would bring value?
Right.
And my friend said, Jomana, you could talk about being a working mom. I'm like, oh, like, everyone has it all figured out. I'm the only one struggling. Like, I honestly thought that I was the only one struggling.
No.
And because I was, supermom, and I'm a professor, and I thought, and I'm going to go up and admit that I'm struggling and I'm going to be the only one. And
Yeah.
imagine, Izzy, I did not even have confidence in those feelings that I had, that I did a survey
Wow.
of about
Yeah.
300 to 400 women. And I
Yeah.
asked them basically what I was feeling like. Do you feel this? What are all these things? And when I got the results, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do the TEDx talk now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because women are ashamed to admit in front of a group of moms, hypothetically, just say we're out at a park. We have a group of moms. We're 10 of us. All of us are stay-at-home moms. Everybody's bragging about what they can do, how they did it, and how they're this. And then you come out and say, hey, I'm struggling. I'm
Mm,
having a hard time, and everybody shifts eyes on you. I mean, just the feeling of that, so it's hard to let go of like that ego. I wanted to also mention, I thought this was super cool, and you guys can download this for free, is Mind Shifter and Uplifter. Tell us a little bit about that. I love that title.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's called the Mindset Shifter and Uplifter. It's just a little document I created for people who visit my page on Instagram, just as a thank you, and for them to leave with some value that they can take with them anytime. So it's just a small document. It contains affirmations that I use myself.
Yeah.
And it also contains activities about beliefs that we may have and how we can change those beliefs into more empowering beliefs. And there's also a little self-compassion journal in there,
I
so
love
that
that.
we can become aware of the judgment that we put on ourselves and
Yeah.
how we can alleviate that and just express more self-compassion.
Okay, I want to first say thank you very much for taking the time out to come and to share space with me today. It is so beautiful. I can just feel all the wonderful energy. And before we leave today, I'd like to ask you, what is on your heart and what would you like to leave with our community today?
Thank you so much for having me, Izzy. Really, I appreciate you so much. Um, I would say acknowledge yourself, appreciate yourself. The most important words you will ever hear are the words you tell yourself.
Yeah.
This is Marissa Peer. She's a famous rapid transformational therapist. And the thing is, oftentimes we seek external validation.
Yeah.
We want to hear words from our partners, our kids, our employers, our colleagues, our friends. And while it's nice to hear what other people think of you,
Yeah.
and it's nice to, feel appreciated by others, what's more important is that you validate yourself,
Yes.
because you can't expect others to give you what you don't give yourself.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And that's where the personal power comes in. That's when I talk about personal power. It's about, acknowledging who you are on the inside, acknowledging
Yeah.
your worth, your being, behind the titles, behind the degrees, behind the various identities and hats that you
Right.
wear. And
Yeah.
don't wait
I
for others
love
to do
that.
it.
I love that so much. You are such an amazing human. I am so happy that our paths have crossed and I want us to stay connected.
Of
This
course.
is only one of many of the podcasts that we can have together. You're always welcome to come on if you just want to talk about whatever. I think this is awesome to put this information on the table. There's someone out there that needs it. I even needed this. This came to me at the right time because even though I was in that super mom or superpower uh, mentality, this came to me and was like, it's okay. You're okay. Just seeing you on that stage and just listening to all the advice that you have given many of the moms out there. And so, like I said earlier, I'm going to put all of Jomana's links. Please, please make sure you connect with her on Instagram. Make sure you follow her. Also, to go onto YouTube and to definitely sign up for the free download of the Mindset Shifter and Uplifter. That is super awesome and it's absolutely free. And I thank you again, Jomana, for coming. Dr. Jomana.
Oh, please. To be honest, I don't like formalities. I don't like formalities.
I know.
Jomana is
But
more
you
than
earned it. And I want to say, from a mom to another mom, I'm so proud of you.
fine.
I'm so grateful for you. And I'm so grateful that you are able to take everything that's in your heart and to share it with so many people. Your TEDx is going out to so many different women that will need this. So whenever you're in that space where even you as a coach may feel like, wow, this is a lot, go back and you watch your TEDx and you sit there and you listen to all that beautiful advice that you've given and you think of all the lives that you have touched.
Thank
Yes.
you,
Thank
Izzy. Oh
you.
my God, you're making me want to cry. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm so glad we connected. And yeah, and we will definitely be in touch. And I'm here for you. I'm here for all of you. Please, when you log on to my Instagram, reach out, send me a DM. I don't want followers. I want
Right.
people that I can connect with and they can connect with me. Okay.
Yes. And I love that so much. And so, always at the end of my podcast, I always reach out and I say to my community, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, and may you live life with ease. And may
Mm,
there be peace. And I wish that for you, Joanna, and for everyone that is connected with you, your family, your friends, and your followers. May this podcast touch their hearts just as it's touched mine. Thank you so much. And we will see you again. I hope that we can connect and do another podcast together.
I would love to. It'd be an honor. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.